These are 7 rappers who murdered their ops. And first up, we have Young and Ace's homie, Queso, because he was one of the most feared shooters in Jacksonville. And now he's locked up fighting 2 different murder cases. And the first case he's fighting is the murder of Lil Buck, because Lil Buck's murder was allegedly retaliation for a song that the rapper made dissing Queso's brother, Boss Goon. The shooting was also believed to be part of the ongoing war between KTA and ATK, and the shooters wanted to get at Queso by targeting his family members. And the death of his brother would turn him cold-hearted and lead him to seek revenge on anyone that had something to do with his brother's death. And he ended up finding a target for his anger, which was rival rapper Lil Buck, since he dropped a diss track on Queso's brother. And Queso felt like Lil Buck had something to do with his brother's death, since not long after Lil Buck dropped that diss, Boss Goon was murdered. So Queso began to plot his revenge on Lil Buck. He even got help from his dad and 2 other friends to go on the drill with him to take out Lil Buck. The crew caught Lil Buck lacking outside a shopping plaza and shot him several times. Witnesses say they saw 2 men firing at least 6 shots and then getting into a car and speeding off. They got into a high-speed chase with a getaway vehicle, which crashed in a residential neighborhood. Queso and his 2 partners got out of the car and escaped on foot. They decided to split up to make it harder for the police. Queso went in one direction with the cops right on him. The other 2 dudes hid in a nearby home, taking the lady who lived there hostage, and they eventually called someone to come and pick them up so they wouldn't get caught. The woman who was held hostage would later become a key witness in helping the police identify the victims. Their names were Dominique Barner and Leroy Whitaker, allegedly known associates of Queso. Barner would later admit to an undercover cop that Queso was the one who killed Lil Buck. Barner was unaware that the men were wearing a wire and bragged about the murder, admitting on tape that he was the driver and Queso was the shooter. Based on the information he provided, police were able to recover the weapon and a t-shirt with Queso's DNA on it. Police also looked at Queso's social media to see if they could find any more evidence linking him to the crime, and they ended up finding tons of crazy stuff.
On Robinson's Instagram, there was a story posted of a child singing a song entitled KSO Homicide by rapper Young and Ace, a local rapper who has made headlines before. The video was posted after the murder of Charles McCormick. Also another story, which depicted Hakeem Robinson at a nail salon receiving a pedicure with the caption, "Kill a N-word, then go get my toes done."
And to make things worse for Queso, when Dominique Barner was interviewed, he confirmed everything he said on The Wire. He even went as far as snitching on Queso's dad, Hakeem Robinson, revealing that he was the one who picked them up after they ditched the getaway car. So police arrested Queso, and his father was arrested for accessory to murder after the fact. And if things weren't looking bad enough for Queso while behind bars, he would also be charged with the 2019 murder of Adrian Gaynor, aka Bibi Osama, Fulio's younger brother. And police tied this murder to Queso after he used pictures of murder victims for one of his album covers.
Controversial rap album cover is making its way around social media. The cover shows pictures of men who have been murdered in Jacksonville. Local rapper Queso posted the picture to Instagram.
Plus, Queso was known to make fun of Bibi on social media, which also made the police tie the murder to his name.
When I put on Bibi cream in, I run that gym, bro. That cream ass. Dead. Yeah, baby! That's what Bibi did!
Bibi was shot and died outside the Hilltop Village apartments in Jacksonville. He was sitting in a gazebo on the apartment complex grounds, chilling on his phone with a friend sitting nearby. And while they were both looking down, the shooter started firing at him. The friend was able to escape, but Bibi was chased down by the shooter and hit several times until he passed away. And things aren't looking the best for Queso in either one of these cases, since Queso's pops is telling investigators that Queso was the one who took Lil Buck's life.
Robinson Sr. told the state attorney's office that his son, Hakeem Robinson, posted on Instagram an incriminating message after McCormick was murdered.
Calling the store, it's on the store saying kill and get the toes done.
And was that depicting Hakeem Robinson?
Say what?
Did that, you said it was on the story, was that like Instagram story?
Yeah, Instagram story.
And was that something that was posted by Hakeem Robinson?
Yes, sir.
When you saw that, were you upset?
Yes, sir.
Now let's move on to King Von, because in 2014, the guy named Malcolm Stuckey and his friends were mean mugging Von. So Von felt some type of way, so he left the party to go and recruit FBG Wooski's brother, Big Mike. for backup. And around 45 minutes later, King Von and Mike returned to the party, but parked in an alley near the home. The two then got out of the car with their guns and headed to the front of the house. Malcolm and two friends were sitting on the porch when Von and Big Mike opened fire on them. Malcolm ended up getting hit and several others were injured. After the shooting, Von and Big Mike ran to the car to escape, but both of them ended up getting arrested a few days after this shooting. And during the investigation, Big Mike admitted to police that he had fired a gun 15 to 16 times at one of the victims, but Von was the one who hit Malcolm Stuckey. And when Von was questioned, he refused to talk to the authorities. So Von and Mike would go on to fight the case for the next 3.5 years until the trial finally began. And at the last minute, Big Mike refused to take the stand, and no other witnesses came to testify either. So Von was eventually acquitted, and Mike ended up getting sentenced to 28 years due to him not staying silent. But King Von isn't the only O Block member who had to fight murder charges, because Muwop and a few other O Block members were arrested in connection with the death of FBG Duck. Because in August 2020, FBG Duck was shopping in the Gold Coast neighborhood of Chicago until he was shot in broad daylight. And many believe Duck died because of the diss track he had dropped, dissing O Block and the other BDs associated with them. And after Duck died, rumors stayed flying that O Block was behind the drill. Then another rapper from O Block named Boss Top did an interview and almost admitted that O Block was the one who took out Duck for dissing them.
You got any thoughts on FBG Duck? Any thoughts on him? Did you know him? Who, Duck? Did you know him before? Everything
like that. I don't know. On game. All I know, don't say that about Troy or rest in peace, Duck.
T-Roy is one of the dead O Block members Duck dissed on his song. So Boss Top basically confirmed the rumors. A few months later, Duck's mom hopped on IG Live and said her son's killers got arrested.
And they got the other 5. They got the other 5, baby. Thanks, Boss Top, for opening your big ass mouth. Yeah, keep on being cocky.
Then, in October 2021, Muwop, C-Thang, C-Murder, Los, and a dude named Kenny from O Block all got hit with a RICO for Duck's murder and other charges. At first, nobody knew what evidence the feds had against them, but then news broke out that Muwop and the others got caught on camera. According to the indictment, someone saw Duck shopping and called up members from O Block to give them the location. Then cameras inside O Block caught a couple of dudes running down the stairs and hopping into several cars. The 2 cars were caught speeding downtown and blowing through red lights on the way to where Duck was. When they eventually pulled up to where Duck was shopping, all the O Block members started letting off shots. And after Duck passed, surveillance cameras recorded them driving straight back to O Block. And it got even worse for O Block after police found a handwritten note in one of the cars with C-Murder's phone number and Facebook name on it. They also found photos of dudes from O Block posing with the cars they used to slide on Duck with. And recently, the Chicago PD revealed that King Von had put a $100,000 bounty on Duck since he wanted him gone ASAP after the diss he dropped. The baby had also had some problems where he was involved in a situation inside Walmart where a man was shot. According to his testimony to police, he was out shopping for clothes with his daughter and his baby mama. When 2 men ran up on him, one of the men flashed a weapon and threatened him. What happened next isn't clear, but one of the robbers named Jalen Craig was killed. After this went down, the baby claimed self-defense, and the evidence proved that he was telling the truth. So the murder charge brought against him was dropped. Instead, he got charged with a lighter one and just caught a gun charge. So he was sentenced to 1 year of unsupervised probation. And after the situation, the baby made a video sending condolences to the family, even though he had to do something to one of his ops.
Ain't no free me, I'm free than a mother. And ain't no RIP me, my heart's still beating, and condolences goes out to the other parties.
And earlier this year, this footage from the incident was released, and fans started questioning if it was really self-defense, since it looked like the baby was the aggressor in the situation. And not long after the clip went viral, he went on Instagram to clear everything up.
Lawyers telling me not to say nothing, and all that my nigga to walk down on you and your whole family, threaten y'all, whip out on y'all, and let me see what y'all gonna do.
And subscribe right now if you're enjoying the video. But now, let's move on to Memphis rapper Mac Critter, who recently signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 label. And Mac getting booked for murder made fans speculate that Gucci's label is cursed. Because on December 21st, 2022, the Memphis police received a call about a shooting on Wells Avenue. And once the police arrived on the scene, police found a man unresponsive in a vacant lot. By the time the ambulance arrived, the victim was identified as Markeith Taylor and was pronounced dead with multiple gunshot wounds. And 2 hours after Markeith's death, a man in the crowd that was overlooking the crime scene opened fire at a passing car and ended up hitting the driver. The shooter then got into his car and drove off. Officers would locate the car that got shot up a few miles away with Alandis Turner inside of it. Alandis' family later revealed that he was related to the other man who died that same day. And one witness at the first crime scene claimed to have seen the murder of Markeith and told investigators that Matt Critter and 3 other men he was with were the ones that took Markeith's life. And according to the witness, Matt called out to the victim and told him to get out of his car and come to them. For whatever reason, Markeith listened. And as he walked up to the 4 men, they began walking to him as all 4 drew down on him and started firing. According to the witness, Markeith hit the ground as one of the men named Gary Taylor continued hitting at him. The 4 men then returned to the SUV and drove off. The witness identified Matt Critter, Gary Taylor, and Ontario Owens from a picture investigators showed them, but the 4th suspect has yet to be arrested. Markeith's mom showed the news the bullet holes that hit her home days after her son died. Her house, her sister's house, and her dad's house were all shot up.
Days after her son's murder, Taylor said someone fired shots at her home, her sister's home, and father's home too.
And days before the crime took place, Matt Critter was seen on live letting everyone know that he's going to crash out while looking for his ops.
I'm out here. I'm in traffic. I'm trying to body something. I'm trying to put something under. I'm trying to put me a man under. I'm dropping out bare face with.
And what makes things crazy is that Markeith is said to be the father of Matt Critter's sister's daughter, meaning Mac played a role in his own niece's father's death. Gucci Mane also had something to do with the murder in his earlier days, because back in 2005, he was locked in a wild beef with Jeezy, because a week after they dropped So Icy, Jeezy allegedly put a $10,000 bounty on Gucci's ice cream chain. A couple weeks later, Gucci went home with a dancer from the club. Then in the middle of the night, 5 goons broke in and tried to rob Gucci. It's not clear how it happened, but Gucci upped his strap and took the life of one of the dudes while everyone else ran away. Not long after, the cops put out a warrant for Gucci's arrest, so Gucci turned himself in and let everyone know that it was self-defense. It turned out the dude Gucci shot was Jeezy's artist, Pookie Loc, and Gucci ended up beating the case since it was obviously self-defense. And he even used the situation to diss Jeezy.
Smoking on Pookie Loc tonight.
I tell you what, this how we gonna do this.
Send some more, I'ma send them the same way. In a box back to you. Free kill. Free kill.
I tell you what, though.
New York rapper K-Flock was involved with the murder as well. On December 23rd, K-Flock turned himself in due to his connection with Oscar Hernandez's death. The incident took place on December 16th outside a barbershop. According to police, the victim was in the barbershop wanting to get a haircut when K-Flock passed by. And as he was walking by, K-Flock opened the door and asked the dude what he was looking at. The victim then got up, walked over to him, and tried to fight K-Flock, but K-Flock walked away to avoid any problems until Hernandez kept following him. So K-Flock turned around and hit at Hernandez. Police say Hernandez's death might have been gang-related. Police also released a picture of the alleged shooter caught on surveillance that shows a man dripped out in designer clothes, including a Montclair, Amiri jeans, and some unreleased Jordans. So this is what made police think that it was a rapper. And something seems off about the story. Too many people say if K-Flock was out searching for ops, he probably wouldn't have been dripped out in designer clothes. And the day after the news broke, the footage from outside the barbershop was leaked and seemed to tell a different story. The footage shows K-Flock walking past the barbershop with his sister without stopping to look inside. A few seconds later, the victim walks out and follows him out of the camera's view. Many believe if this happened in another state, K-Flock would have got off with self-defense. But things aren't going as planned since New York has strict gun and self-defense laws. But if you enjoyed this, click the video to see King Von's most disrespectful lyrics that really happened.